Hello and welcome to Battlefield Hardline. Let's take a look at the AKM today, which is a carbine which you can unlock or purchase as an operator. And as you know, a lot of operators or people who run the operator class run around with the M16. So there are so many people running around with the M16, which makes it super boring and non-interesting for me. It's kind of like, everyone is driving a Toyota. It makes the Toyota super boring. And you want to have something, or at least that's always my case, I always want to have something that not everyone has, because it just makes it more interesting. And I heard some good stuff at the AKM, and actually not really necessary from YouTube videos. I just kind of did some research, and there was a few people that were just saying that the AKM was really growing on them, and they started to really love it and exclusively use this weapon. And that's not my plan. I was just bored, using the same old weapons, so I try to constantly try out new weapons. And you know what? This weapon is indeed a lot of fun. This weapon to me felt right away like an AK47. And when I looked it up, I actually learned that the weapon is a modernized variant of the AK47. With a wide range of improvements over nearly every part of the AK-47. So, no wonder this weapon feels extremely powerful, and you can take people down very fast with it, even though it's got a really slow rate of fire. But that thing packs some punch, let me tell you. And I have to say, I almost did better here without any attachments than with the sight. Once I put the sight on, which you can see here, I decided to put the Cobra on, which was my favorite in Battlefield 4, and I don't know if that's really necessarily the best sight here in Battlefield Hardline. I haven't really had time to check out all the sights, but that's what I'm using for now. It kind of makes this weapon ugly. It looks like it's got a little backpack on because it's kind of strapped around the gun. But sometimes a sight can help, especially when you want to try to take people out from really far away, and the iron sight can be a little bit in the way. But I have to say, this weapon is so slender in the front that I think you could just probably do well without any sight on it. And that's really a preference thing. I don't think the sight here would hinder you on doing really well. I actually, like I said, all of a sudden found this weapon not so fun to use once you had the sight on, and it could have just been mentally that the sight was just in my way. It was obstructing me. I was using the weapon differently. But I just all of a sudden was like, I don't like the AKM anymore. And then I realized I must have had something to do with the sight, which really sounds silly. But as you can see here, a lot of times, even though the weapon is a lot slower, if you kind of stand still or lay down and you just keep pounding those bullets on the enemy, you almost always win. And when I used this weapon, I felt like I almost did good in almost every single match, because there was so many times where I did not think I'm gonna take someone down. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be dead, and I won. I won almost every time. So now we're strapping on the muzzle, which is the heavy barrel, of course, my always favorite attachment or muzzle attachment. And see how this does, and it definitely reduces some of the recoil, because the recoil on this AKM is super heavy. I would say you can compare it to the Enforcer class weapons, the Scar H and the SA58, which also have extremely super intense recoil without any attachments. And this gun too, it's got a lot of recoil, but for some reason I did a lot better with the AKM at the beginning than I did with the Scar H or the SA58. It seemed to have the same recoil, but in a way it's I don't know, when you don't have to pump this weapon necessarily. You can literally spray, and I think that's what the difference is. You can spray and still somewhat manage the recoil, while with the Scar H and an SA58, you have to pump, or you know, your aim will be just all over the place. I never played an AKM in any shooter ever before, even though I learned that this weapon or this gun was in Battlefield Vietnam. And that's one of the Battlefields I never played. I think Battlefield Vietnam was just kind of like a DLC. And that was way back then. Actually, Battlefield Vietnam was a DLC of Battlefield Bad Company 2, if I'm not mistaken. And I heard Battlefield Vietnam was really, really, really good. But that was still back in my Call of Duty days, and where I did not play a lot of Battlefield. I played the Battlefield Bad Company 2 multiplayer a lot. But then when Battlefield Vietnam came out, I was kind of not... I wasn't purchasing it, so I never got to play it, and I kind of regretted that later on, and I can probably go back and play it. But that was on the Xbox 360, so no, I probably won't do that anymore. I'm kind of like sticking to the Xbox One now, even though I still have my Xbox 360. I don't feel like playing on it anymore, because the machine just feels like it's huffing and puffing when you turn it on. Yeah, so anyway, back to this game. You should really try the AKM. If you like to play the operator class and you're kind of like interested in trying a new gun that you can do really well with it, and that's really a lot of fun to use, it actually is really satisfying. The gun just feels so tight, so powerful, so, you know, the sound of it, just the way it just feels really, really, really good. And as you can see here, you can even take out people with hip shots easily. The gun is just an all-around great weapon. You can do good in close quarter matches, you can do good in wide open maps. It's a great gun, and it's a great alternative to the M16. It's got a lot more power than the M16. As you can see, I finally unlocked my bronze-plated camo, which I believe you get when you have 100 kills, and I finally get this grip, and I'm putting the stubby grip on, which seems to be the best grip for every weapon in Hardline, just like the heavy barrel seems to be the best muzzle attachment for every weapon. And I don't feel a lot of difference. I'm not even sure if I could really tell a difference by putting a grip on, but it was really late. And so I was kind of just playing one match to just quickly see. I should have gone to bed, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to stay up one more match to see what kind of difference the grip makes. And I was kind of disappointed because I felt like I don't notice a difference. But hey, it doesn't hurt to have, you know, a grip on. Why not? Maybe in certain situations it will help. I just didn't really notice it. And maybe I have to try other grips. Maybe the stubby grip isn't the thing for this weapon. I'll have to try that out. I mean, this game is still in the beginning stages. There's just so much to try out still. So I hope you enjoyed this little input, this little discussion about the AKM. And I hope to see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.